G'day and welcome to the latest edition of Rugby League Insider. We do it all thanks to the good people at FanaticsTV. If you want to tune in via the podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, all good retail outlets. Now, along for the ride today, she's back again, adding, I'm going to say common sense and sensibility to what's otherwise a very, very loosely cut crew around her. How are we, Darcie McDonald?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good, and we're going to get to a big yarn.
Yeah.
It's just exploded at the Broncos headquarters at Red Hill. But before we do, we better also say g'day Cobber to my old mate, Savage by name and Savage by nature. Brandon, how are we, mate?
I like that intro a lot better. I'm very good. How are you? We never ask how you are.
You know what? That's a good point.
Mate, I'm going okay, I think. Yeah? I'm going all right. Yeah.
Enjoying this?
I am enjoying this. I am enjoying this podcast, Gravy. It's a little bit different. It's a bit more relaxed than some of the other styles of traditional media that I've been involved in previously. It's a bit weird having to come into a pub every day and not having a schooner, but that's all right. We live and learn, Brandon, via our mistakes in life. So.
It is. I think we're, probably 2 or 3 weeks away from our actual studio. So
Are we?
Are we going to do the grand ribbon cutting?
Oh, that'd be nice.
I've always wanted to do that.
You can do that then.
Well, that's good. So we've got breaking news at the Broncos, and then we've also got breaking news about this studio.
Oh, well, these are unconfirmed reports. I'm just hearing down the grapevine.
Speculation.
Yeah. I thought it might have just been a little bit of a mirage, the studio. But anyway, we'll see where we get to. Quite happy here at the Hyde Park House Pub. Very cool venue. Now, let's rip into it because there is plenty to unpack. It's all happening at the Brisbane Broncos. Assistant coach Ben Teo and Michael Maguire have had a blazing row. And from the mail I've got, guys, it sounds as though Ben Teo has handed in his resignation. Now, look, it's rugby league, so there's twists and turns and flippers and deucerers and everything else. That could change if there's any movement at the 11th hour. But as we sit here, right now, there's been a stink at training. There's been a stink Thursday night. So the Broncos travelled to Melbourne. They've got the grand final rematch against the Storm. Coaching staff all go out to dinner. So it's Madge, it'd be Ben Teo, it'd be Matty Ballins, another assistant, and it'd be Trent Barrett. And they're all sitting around having a feed and enjoying each other's company. Some defensive tactics of the Broncos have come up from the opening couple of rounds. They were obviously average against Penrith and Parramatta. And I think Madge has tried to shift the blame or the primary share of the blame onto Ben Teo. Now, Ben Teo, I've had a fair bit to do with Ben over the years. I've locked horns with him a couple of times, actually, publicly as well, but we can unpack that later on. I like Ben Teo. He's a bloke's bloke and he stands up for what he believes in. So he obviously didn't accept what Michael Maguire was saying. They've had words. That's finished pretty ugly. They've left. They've gone and played Melbourne the next night, won the grand final rematch in an epic comeback from 14-0 down. And then last night at Red Hill, Troy Thompson, who I think his role is general manager of football at the Broncos, he's called a bit of a peace pipe meeting. Let's all get together, try and sing Kumbaya, build a bridge and get over it. That didn't fly either. So I think that led to Madge and Ben Teo being in another pretty strong verbal altercation. They've obviously got differences of opinion about whatever the beef is. And then this morning, the news breaks that Ben Teo and Madge have had a big bust up and that Ben is considering his position is the way it's being reported and that he may quit. Like I said, from what I've heard, I'm told that he has actually handed in his resignation. That hasn't been formally announced yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is. What do you make of all this, Darce?
Wow. It must have gotten pretty personal and pretty nasty for Ben Teo to not even be able to swallow it after a win. You would have thought a win in that fashion would have helped kind of quash everything and get on with it. But for it to still be simmering away that there needed to be a bit of a peace talk days later, and then to the point where Ben's supposedly handed in his resignation, it's obviously irreparable, the damage. But my mind flips to the distractions and noise that just keep on coming out. At Red Hill, we obviously had Payne Haas, who's, it's his final year, is going to the Rabbitohs. I can cop that that's probably for the playing group. They can accept that, bench it, move on. It's not going to be treated as a major distraction. But then the gaudy stuff that's happened, the rift with, I don't know if we call it a rift, but the kind of pettiness between him and the club and the changing of the meeting room. Sure, maybe that's not a distraction, but a rift between a head coach and an assistant coach, the playing group can't avoid that. I fear now what that does to the playing group and to the Broncos moving forward.
Yeah, you raised some great points. No doubt about it. Like, I think, and I've had my say on Gordy, I think it was piss weak, the way that the club wanted to remove his name from the meeting room. If they think they've had a victory, good luck to them. But there's no doubt the playing group can't sidestep this one, Brandon. They have to be talking about it. And they got another big game. They got the Battle of Brisbane Friday night against the Dolphins. Dolphins are getting a heap of players back. Looks like Payne Haas won't play for the Broncos. Look, Madge is very good at handling shit fights, right? He's been through glass houses with the Blues in Origin camp. The year that Souths won the premiership, there was all sorts of left field distractions going on at that time. When he was sacked by Souths, he would have learned some hard lessons throughout that. Madge is very good at playing the PR game and winning the PR war. I still think Madge, he won the premiership. His credentials speak for themselves, but there's no doubt, Brandon, that this is a distraction that the Broncos didn't need at this point.
This is a distraction, but you look back to Kevy Walters, Gordon Tallis, now Ben Teo. These are all club greats in the past. Yes, Madge is there and now. He's won a premiership, but what happens after Madge now? I think they're really setting themselves up for failure in the future. Yeah, they might get further this year, next year, and in a couple of years' time. But after that, they're just absolutely imploding at the moment, it seems. I think this playing group can kind of look past it. Reece Walsh is that type of player who makes a mistake and then he's willing to throw that long ball the next set as well. So I think this playing group will get past it, but at the same time, when there's all these talks around it, it's hard for a club to get up and about every week. And when the pressure was on last year, they didn't cope that well. When it came off, that's when they really started to come into their own. So I think that this is awful.
If they lose their defensive coach 4 weeks into the season, that's massive.
Sorry about the background noise. We just got a couple of people stumbling into a schooner. Don't worry, I won't be joining them, Mum. Look,
like that's
you're right. You know what though? This is interesting.
Replace?
This is interesting as we unpack this yarn piece by piece. I think Ben Teo initially, when he was hired by the Broncos, was actually signed by Kevy, right? And he and Trent Barrett were both signed to be attack and defence coaches. Then when Madge came in, he's run with that, but you've also got Matt Ballin there as well, who's coached in Queensland under Billy Slater, been at the Broncos for a number of years. So I think Ballin is actually like more the primary defensive coach. We'll put it this way. Ben Teo was in the blue shirt, right? So Ben Teo's on the ground running messages out to the players. Absolutely. He's heavily involved and hands-on in terms of the Broncos defensive system. But in terms of who's sitting in the coach's box, Ballin is actually technically sitting up there with the headset on as the Broncos assistant coach in terms of defence. The other thing that I find super interesting about this is, Madge and Teo have got a long history, not just as colleagues as coaching on the same coaching staff, but Teo was a player under Madge at Souths and smashed that 43 season premiership drought, 2014 against Canterbury Bankstown. And Teo, when you go back and look at that game, Teo was hugely influential. Like, yes, of course, Sammy Burgess, Greg Inglis, George and Tom Burgess, Luke Keary, Adam Reynolds, they all had roles to play. But Teo, and throughout that final series, Madge was using him off the interchange bench, and he was coming on and he was turning games as an impact forward where he would go on, he would level people. He had a really steely edge to the way that he was defending at that time. But a funny anecdote from back then, I know Madge inside the Bunnies dressing room at the time used to say, boys, we've got to be wild dogs to the forwards. We've got to play like wild dogs. We've got to go after them. We've got to win the collision. All those sorts of buzz phrases that coaches love to use. But not all of South's players liked the way that Madge used to then police them off the field, right, where whatever they were up to on the weekends or whenever they had days off or anything, Madge used to really try and run the periscope across everything that was going on, to the point where a couple of ex-South players have told me this yarn. It's pretty funny. To the point where T.O. at one point said to some of the other blokes, mate, he wants us to be wild dogs on the weekend and then he wants us to be guide dogs when we've got a day off. Like, come on, where's the balance? You can't have both.
Yeah.
So, and I tend to agree. But that just gives you a bit of background about these two. It's not a new relationship. It's not a new coaching rapport.
Yeah.
They've spent a number of years as player and coach. Ultimately, T.O. pissed off from Souths because he was overmatched. Like he was one of a number of players who was, and it was similar with Sammy Burgess. Yes, they won the premiership. Yes, they had enormous success. I'm not here to question Michael Maguire's credentials. I'm a fan of Madge. His results speak for themselves. But his methods do give players the shit sometimes with how intense everything is. And I mean even going for a cup of coffee or a beer, right? Everything Madge does is a million miles an hour. He looks like he's that tightly wound up that he could combust at any moment. So there is history there.
Which makes it sadder.
Yeah.
But it also makes you go, they've probably had a fair few bust-ups in their time or a fair few disagreements in their time. What made this one stick so hard that it can't be repaired? Prepared. It can't be repaired. I'd love to be a fly on the wall at that dinner, and I'd love to know how it played out. But yeah, the thing with Madge is like it's pretty normal to piss people off in sport. It's a high pressure environment. You're going to have robust conversations and disagreements. It happens.
Yep. Every day.
Every day. But Madge seems to. He pisses people off, doesn't he? There's riffs. He has moments. He has riffs. He has disagreements. And to your point, Brandon, as well, like, yeah, what happens post-match? And the Broncos old boys. How many people is he going to piss off? And is it short-term gain, long-term pain?
I think they'll be okay based on the fact that I think they're going to be fine in the short term while Madge is there. I don't think, like, he's got another couple of years to run on his current contract. But if they continue to have the success that they're on in terms of this current trajectory, I can see Madge surviving longer than 3 seasons. The Broncos are the wealthiest club in the NRL, the most high-profile club in the NRL, and they've got one of the biggest supporter bases in the NRL. And they also have the luxury of still being the kingpins of Queensland, which means you got that entire state as a nursery. So they have brilliant.
The club's always going to be.
They got brilliant people in terms of talent identification and emerging talent within the game. They've missed a few recently, and certainly the Dolphins and the Cowboys have, and the Titans have pinched a few off them. I know the Titans are working very hard behind the scenes to try and stop the way that there's just a conga line of every kid in Queensland wanting to sign with the Broncos. But I think the Broncos, they'll be okay longer term, whether Madge is there or whether Madge isn't there. What are you smiling about?
Oh, I'm just laughing at all the background noises, all the beeping.
There's a bit going on today, isn't there? Someone's come in for an early morning. Is it midday yet?
It's
midday. Don't worry, it's midday somewhere. Someone's come in for an early morning Long Island iced tea.
The car's
Brent Reed's out the front, still blowing up about my light
Maybe that was
oval.
Madge and Teo driving past each other.
There's a bit going on, but look, that's the beauty of this podcast, Roy, is there'll be a bit of colour and movement in the background, and we just play on. So yeah, look, I got to say it come out of left field when I heard this news this morning. I didn't see this. This is another interesting one, Darcie, is So Teo over the course of the summer, Teo's highly regarded, right?
Yeah.
In terms of, I think he'll be a future NRL coach, a head coach every day of the week at some point. The Titans recognise that, and I'm told the Titans actually made a pretty big play to try and get Ben Teo to come and join the Gold Coast under Josh Hannay this year. Brisbane then countered that offer, gave him a 4-year deal. So if he does quit, which, like I said, I'm told he's handed in his resignation, so he's walking out. He's walking out on a 4-year contract. Having said that, I still think he's too good a coach, and he's already got enough runs on the board in that space. There's a few players, retired players, I should say, who've just got a bit of a presence and a bit of an aura about him. Sam Burgess is definitely one. Like, Sam Burgess walks into a room, and whether it's footy players, media people, just people from all walks of life, whoever it is.
They know Sam
everyone
Burgess.
goes, and he's got this commanding style of aura about him, and everyone's hanging off every word. Teo's not quite on that level, but he has got a presence, and I think that there's no question whatsoever he continues coaching in the NRL. It's just a matter of where. I wouldn't be surprised, Darcie, if he goes to Souths with the old gunslinger Wayne Bennett. I don't think it happens this year because Wayne will already be a fair way advanced. He's got Ben Hornby there. He's got Steve Antonelli there. He'll already be a fair way advanced in terms of what he's got planned for the Bunnies. But Teo's got skin at that club.
Yep.
He won a premiership the last time that Souths lofted the Provan Summons trophy.
It would make sense.
I wouldn't be surprised. Do you think that we see him continue on?
100%. Well, if the Titans made such a big play, he took the Dolphins as a Queensland Cup coach to a grand final, and that was pretty early on in his coaching career. So he's obviously got it. Yeah, I don't know what the word is, but he's got something, right? And then for the Broncos to pounce on him, for the Titans to come after him, and for the Broncos to go, no, we don't want to lose you so much, so we're going to give you a 4-year deal. Again, he's got it. So if he walks out, resigns, doesn't get picked up straight away for the Rabbitohs, but maybe for a future opportunity, he'll surely be picked up somewhere for the rest of this season, whether it even be somewhere like a Queensland Cup club for now.
Maybe it's Gold Coast. Maybe it's the Titans. Maybe they go, well, you know what, mate, if you're not, the offer still stands. We want to get you back.
But you'd imagine he would maybe talk to the Rabbitohs too if he's got skin in the game at that club. Yeah. And as the Rabbitohs, like Wayne Bennett's not going to be coaching forever. It would make sense as well. And I know Ben Hornby is there as well, but to put things in place for a succession plan.
Absolutely. Well, Wayne's got a strong track record, certainly in recent times. We saw it with Christian Wolf when he went into the Dolphins. I'm glad you raised the Dolphins and the fact that Teo took him to a grand final. Yeah. This is another funny anecdote from when Teo was coaching at the Dolphins in Q Cup.
Yeah.
So they're playing a game one day and he's sitting up in the coach's box by himself. And Ben told me this yarn probably a couple of years ago now. And he's sitting up in the coach's box and the Dolphins are down by like 3 or 4 tries. And Teo's sitting there and it's one of the first games where he's actually in charge and he's going, shit, this isn't good. This is what's going on here, right? Anyway, next thing, the door of the coach's box open, in walks the old gunslinger, Wayne, and sits down next to him. He's going, oh, shit.
Oh, no.
This has just got very, like this was bad enough as it was. Now it's just got bloody awkward, right? So anyway, he said Wayne didn't say anything, right? He just sat there, looked at the scoreboard, looked at Teo, said, how are you going to fix this? And Teo said, I didn't know what. He's going, hang on a minute, and he's on the walkie-talkie trying to tell the blokes downstairs what to do and whatnot. And Wayne just said, you'll be right, you got to do something. You got to do something. And
no shit.
That's part, like, I love that anecdote because it lends a little bit to the genius of Wayne. He's letting Teo learn on the run.
Yeah.
He's come in, he's let him know that he's watching the game too.
Yeah.
But he's not going to come in and give him all the answers and go, mate, you got to do this, you got to do that,
It's not going to save him.
right? Nah. He's going to go, righto, there's one way to learn how to swim. In you go in the deep end and see what happens.
Well, he learned.
He did. That's right. That's right. I don't think he's lost to coaching at all. I think that he definitely, if it is confirmed today, and like I said, I'm led to believe that it will be, then I think he'll definitely show up at a rival NRL club, possibly sooner rather than later. Brandon, I haven't come to you a lot. What's your read on all of this?
Well,
You've carved the Broncos up again for a change.
Well,
it's not like you.
I just have a question. So Michael Maguire disagreed with Ben Teo's stance on whatever the case was. Is it up to Ben Teo to take that on board, or is it up to Madge to kind of compromise to some extent? Because Michael Maguire is the head coach of the club. Is Ben Teo and all these old boys kind of buying into this media narrative that Madge is a bad person, he's a bad coach, all this sort of jazz? Should someone like Ben Teo be listening to Madge rather than trying to fight back?
It's a very good question.
Madge is the boss, right?
That's
so
what I thought.
At what point do you go, we're gonna agree to disagree on this, but you're the coach, you're the boss. That's why, yeah.
I've only ever had one fair
dynamic.
dinkum boss in life, and I never back-chatted him. Right?
Yeah.
I had that much respect for the bloke. I would never back-chat. I would always listen to his advice. But I think it's different in footy clubs because, as you touched on earlier, Darcie, there's robust conversations. There's swear words. There's blokes nearly getting in blues at training because someone whacked someone too hard. It goes on every day in that style of professional elite environment. I think my mail is that at the moment the Broncos are now busily trying to background people that Teo was maybe a little bit lazy and had maybe taken his eye off the ball to a degree. I'm calling bullshit on that, the same way that I call bullshit on the petty move to remove Gordy's name out of their headquarters at Red Hill. I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
The Ben Teo that I've ever known is a bloke who is extremely professional, treats his work very diligently, and is a winner every day of the week.
Sounds like a guy that can't fake it as well. If
Good
he doesn't
point.
if he doesn't like you, he doesn't like you.
You know what he's like? His personality is a little bit like Gordy's.
Yeah, okay.
His personality is a little bit like Gordy's.
If it doesn't sit well with him, it doesn't sit well with him. So he has to. That's probably why he has handed in his resignation, because it's irked him that much. He can't swallow it and pretend that everything's sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops.
Yeah.
Which,
no, that's a great point.
I guess, respect to him.
Yeah, I think it's like a superstar fullback like Reece Walsh playing with Ben Hunt over Adam Reynolds, where Adam Reynolds is Ben Teo and Ben Hunt is actually, I don't know where I'm going with this.
You've dropped the kickoff.
Or maybe Reece Walsh is Ben Teo and Adam Reynolds is Michael Maguire.
Yes.
Oh, Darcie saved you.
Yeah.
Like I said, she's
And
added
you've got a
a
captain
lot of sense and sensibility to
and
this
the,
show
and
again.
the young star.
Yeah. Oh,
Where were you going with that? Come on, have another go at it.
No, I just think like he's the type of guy that probably needs control over a place. His style of coaching, he needs control. Ben Teo. So like maybe he feels he's at a point where he can make these sort of calls, and maybe he's not at that point. And with someone like Madge, he's clashing way too much. Just like Reynolds and Walsh, whilst they work, they clash a little. Actually, Nico and Trindle, when they were starting to get things together, that's a better example. Time can heal everything. But if he stayed there for a while and nutted it out, he would learn from it. But he's probably at the stage now where he can be a starting halfback at another club.
Yeah, I see where you're going with it. Look, I think definitely Madge and Teo are both extremely strong personalities, and they have clearly butted heads, and they haven't been able to repair it. Perhaps it because there is a long history there. Perhaps Ben has taken into consideration what he also experienced at Souths. For the Broncos, though, it's another unnecessary back page, front page, negative headlines yarn. They got an epic game Friday night. This Battle of Brisbane, have you ever been to one of those?
I've never been, but they look epic.
Mate, I'm telling you, it's similar to Good Friday between the Dogs and the Bunnies, right?
Yeah.
It's big. In Brizzy, everyone wants to go. They always get sellouts. There's a lot of fins up fans that rock up and are right into it. Is it Timmy Trumpet? Who's playing the trumpet? Is it Timmy Trumpet or is it just some other dude who plays the trumpet for the Dolphins?
Timmy Trumpet.
Timmy Trumpet is a guy.
Yeah, Timmy Trumpet plays in Vegas and all over the world.
That's a good get if it's Timmy Trumpet.
I think Warren Livingston might be mates with him actually.
Oh, no
Him and the Stafford brothers, yeah, they were kicking
I
around
watched
over in
Timmy
Vegas.
Trumpet at Cali Beach Club a couple of years ago on New Year's Day.
Where's Cali Beach Club?
It's on the Goldie.
Oh, how good.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Great people watching. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Timmy Trumpet performed at the 2021 Grand Final
There you go.
where the Penrith Panthers won the comp. So maybe that's an omen that the Penrith
Wow.
Panthers win the comp again, because 2021 was the 6 again restart. 2026 is 6 again all over again. Penrith
Mate,
Panthers win the
your
comp.
crystal ball, I'm telling you.
you
The
a
way
Panthers
you
fan?
are seeing them
No,
like
I love the Panthers though.
Who do you
I
support?
support Manly, but I support the Bears.
Okay. So everyone. You
No,
went
no,
around
no.
it.
he's a hybrid. He's a hybrid
hybrid
halfback.
halfback.
He's a hybrid halfback.
I can't relate.
He lives in Glenmore Park. He doesn't support Penrith. How are you going for Manly?
Yeah.
Have you ever lived on the beaches?
Nah, I went to a game once and that's it.
Were you
What
a
game?
Bears fan? And then when they
Yeah.
broke off you and they, pissed
I
off?
don't want to go through my whole history because
Okay.
it probably paints me in a worse picture than I'm being painted right
So
now.
you're a turncoat, is what you're saying.
Yes. Well, I was a Bears fan till I was 8. Then my dad took me to Para games, kind of supported Para, and then supported Newcastle, and then yeah.
It's all right when you're a kid, mate. I know
Yes.
with my little
I
bloke,
was a
he
kid.
goes for the Tigers, right?
Yeah.
Because unfortunately I sort of steered him that way. But I know when he was much younger, and Penrith were going good, he
Yeah.
loved watching, and he'd be secretly cheering. Well, then all of a sudden, now Melbourne are going good. I go, oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I kind of, I quite like Munster too. Oh, yeah, that's fair enough.
I can't,
But he
yeah.
sticks solid now.
I can't relate. Like if I didn't bleed blue and white, I would have probably been put up for adoption. I wouldn't have been fed. Like I'm not exaggerating.
Do both your oldies go for Canterbury?
Oh yeah.
Heavy.
My brother is, if you do the math, he would have been conceded around the 1988 grand final.
Oh, that's outstanding.
He was born 9 months after
Yeah.
that. I've got like the 2004 grand final. I have memories of my parents. We went on a supporter bus to the grand final. We accidentally ended up on the players' family and friends bus coming home. It took us straight into the Canterbury Leagues Club, which was all shut off. It was mayhem. I was, I think, 11 years old. My parents had gotten in on this family and friends bus, and they were like, well, shit, we ain't leaving. Like, we're partying on until 6 a.m. What are we going to do with Darcie? Like, my brother wasn't 18 but kind of looked 18, so he got away with it. But I was 11 years old, did not look, anywhere.
You're not supposed to be in licensed premises.
So my dad rang my grandfather, ran outside, threw me over the fence, see you later, and went back in and partied on until 6 a.m. They have the memories of Braith lifting the trophy up and everything. Like,
That's outstanding.
you don't understand. My whole life
That's
has
very
revolved
good,
around.
and that's cool. I don't mind that style of parenting. Your grandparents were involved as well. I'm sure they would have
Yep.
enjoyed getting a little bit more quality time with yourself. Outstanding. Rightio. Well, getting it back to the Broncos and the Dolphins. There's a couple of big ins for the Dolphins. So Francis Molo returns from suspension, and I think Flegler's back. I don't know what he missed last week with. Do you know?
He had a rib
That's right,
injury,
yeah.
so
I think he's a good chance to get named as well.
yeah, it's touch and go.
For the Broncos, Madge is going to name Haas. I don't think he'll play, right? He's got an AC shoulder issue.
Yep.
I don't think he could be out. I don't think he plays Friday night. He might even have to miss another game. And I seem to remember, I think Haas also had some shoulder troubles at various stages last season. Adam Reynolds will be named, and I think he does play. But with all this bubbling away in the background at Red Hill, they got a lot of spot fires burning. So I give the Dolphins
I
a
was going to
genuine
say,
chance.
this is a very good chance for the Dolphins to
Yeah.
get them.
Yep.
This is going to be a beauty.
Yes, absolutely. Brandon, how are you seeing Friday night, Battle of Brisbane?
Haas is a massive out. So Broncos win if Haas is in. Dolphins win if Haas is out. I reckon it's as simple as that.
No, you can't. You've half past sat on the fence there. Pick
Okay.
one or the other.
Nah, Brisbane win.
Brisbane.
Win. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. You're sticking solid.
close.
All right, let's rip into our next topic. And the Sydney Roosters are also huge in the headlines at the moment. The Chooks road to nowhere in terms of their recruitment. So it's not often that the Roosters come under fire for their recruitment, but I was going through it this morning and last night, and the list of players that I reckon they've made mistakes around over the last couple of seasons, which is very surprising. It's rarely that they get this wrong. So Brandon Smith obviously didn't fly. Joey Suwali, well, Isaac Moses ended up stitching him up, but still he's not there anymore. So I'd call that a mistake. Joey Manu, very surprised that ultimately that he left. Terrell May, that was a club decision. He's going good at the Tigers. I'm certainly not disappointed that he's there. And Chad Townsend was an out and out. That was a bad call.
Yeah, but I was having a look at this. Like, I agree with Brandon Smith. They definitely got that one wrong, especially because they rolled out the big fancy red velvet carpet to get him. Remember, they snuck him into Toddy's, backdoor into Toddy's. They did the whole shebang to win him over.
Remember the prawn pizzas at Robbo's joint?
Oh, they did everything.
Brandon
right?
went on the podcast.
He was so popular.
Oh no, octopus pizzas. Sorry, I think it was. Yeah,
didn't know that was a
thing.
thing.
It was very gourmet. Yeah.
And he didn't amount to what they were expecting. But like Chad Townsend, he was signed. He was never signed really to play first grade. He was signed to more so mentor the young halves. I remember, I'm pretty sure Chad even said it himself. Like, he met with Robbo. Robbo said to him, like, are you still coachable? Like, are you still willing to be coached and kind of come in and understand that you're probably not going to start for us? And Chad said, yeah, like it was more so a stepping stone for him into coming back to Sydney and moving into retirement. So it depends how much money they paid for him, to be honest, and I don't know that.
I don't think it was a lot. I think it was only about $250.
Yeah, like, he might have done some really good mentoring.
No, sorry, I think it was about $300.
Okay, so he might have done some really good mentoring with someone like a Hugo Savala and Sam Walker. Joey Manu and Suoli'i, like, that hurts, but it's rugby union, and if they've got a desire to play rugby union, I don't think anyone can really compete with that. And then Terrell May, like, they found him in the first place, so I give him credit to that. He was playing for Blacktown Workers, New South Wales Cup. Wasn't outstanding, but had some really good signs. That comp got shut down during COVID. He goes over to North Sydney Bears. Well, mind you, North Sydney Bears found him, and he was killing it for the first half of the season. Roosters bring him in, and he ends up debuting 2022, and he becomes an overnight star at the Roosters. And then, I guess that was a club decision. Maybe he didn't fit in with their culture, and at the end of the day, if he doesn't fit in with their culture, they may be predicting things could have gotten hairy, and they've moved him on. Yeah.
I'll give you the Terrell one. I think you've unpacked that fair and square there. The other ones, I reckon they're all genuine fuck-ups. Brandon was a gun player at the time, and you're 100% right. Like, the lengths that the Chooks went to, I think they even went as far as, didn't they get a jumper with his number made up on it? Yeah. So they had a Roosters jumper with 9 and Smith on it.
Wow.
And I think Brandon ultimately ended up talking about when he was presented with that, it might have been at Toddy's, that he was like, I want to win a premiership in that jumper.
Yes.
And that went down like a lead balloon at the Melbourne Storm because they were just coming off having won premierships, and Brandon had been part of that setup. And I know, they were chewing broken glass when that.
Yeah, I remember that. The
emerged.
Brandon one, definitely, that fell flat. Like, and Sam Verrills was the collateral damage.
Yeah.
And then, Brandon doesn't work out, and then they have to go to market and try and find another hooker and find Reece Robson instead. It just, that one blew up in their faces.
Suoli blew up in their faces too, in the Roosters' defence.
Yeah.
They got, I've got to be careful how I word this. I was going to say something that rhymes with ducked, but I better not say that. They got done over by an agent badly. They got led up the garden path. I think they were of the view that Suoli was going to stay around a lot longer than he did. And then ultimately, Wooshka, they got shivved in the jugular, and now he's playing another code. But they don't normally make errors in the recruitment space. Now they've leaked 100 points in the opening 3 games of the season. The Penrith loss, look, the Panthers, everything they touched, like, they were in a mood in the zone. I don't think it would have mattered if it had been the Melbourne Storm, the Broncos, whoever was playing Penrith Friday night. They were in a mood. But the Warriors game, that's completely different. Like, their right edge was totally exposed. I think their right edge again defensively. The Panthers skinned them early down that edge. That's why Milky Jenkins was having a field day. 8 tries in 3 games. What a start to the season. They've conceded the most penalties, made the most errors, and they've got the second worst completion rate in the comp. So, Brandon, well, I know how good you are with numbers, our friend. What do you make of, and this isn't new either, we should point out, the Roosters under Trent Robinson have often conceded. They've often been the most penalised side.
It's interesting.
So what do you make of the numbers that are getting crunched out of the Chooks at the moment?
Those numbers shouldn't be happening. They've got such a experienced side in James Tedesco, Daly Cherry-Evans. Sam Walker's had a few games come along now. They've got Reece Robson in there, Angus Crichton. I just don't understand why they concede so many errors and penalties. They should be better than that. And I feel like they've been underwhelming for a long time. You go back to the Brandon Smith signing. It was obvious that he wasn't the right signing for the club. They've always thrived with a hardworking hooker. With all their superstars in Tedesco, Walker, Daly Cherry-Evans now, he wasn't there at the club at the time, but you don't need a hooker that's a live wire to create things for you. You need a hooker that's willing to defend, put their body where most people won't, and just give good service. Another key signing that they messed up pretty badly too was David Fafita.
Oh,
He
signed with
buried
them.
the lead.
Yeah, and they're willing to get rid of Angus Crichton, who's perfect in that system. He's leaving next year, but I feel like they were willing to let go of someone like Angus Crichton for that to happen when it's just so out of the system.
They have a habit where they see this shiny thing and they want to have it. They're like, they see this shiny
don't
name.
want to have it. They have to have
like
it.
Brandon Smith was like the prized signing. Everyone was going after his signature. He was like the Brad Pitt,
Yeah.
and they were like, we'll show you. Like, we'll take him to Toddy's. We have to have him, even if it's not really what we need right now because Sam Verrills is doing a good enough job and we don't really need him, but we have to win that signing.
It's like Homer Simpson with that big gummy bear.
Yeah.
Where he's... Do you know that episode?
I thought you were going to say it, Barney Gumbles. Or no, what is it? Most Tavern. Most Tavern with Barney.
It's almost like a power play.
Yeah,
Showing that they can get the...
You're 100% right, Darcie. The Roosters, their board is so successful in business and in all walks of life that they're winners as people. Like, they're not accustomed to not, when the shiny new toy flashes past, whether it's a brand new Rolex or whatever the latest speedboat fanging around in the harbour is, or the best Mustang, the best roller, whatever it is. They're accustomed to, if they want, they can execute that. So I think that plays a role. David Fafita's a great point. I think in hindsight, they think they dodged a bullet. But again, the details were leaked about Fafita's talking Greek on the phone to Uncle Nick,
wild.
saying thank you because I think his partner is part Greek or something, and she taught him how to converse with a little bit of Yasul. So, look, good luck to him. But
I think they've been better recently. Like the Terrell May one, I actually, like in hindsight, at the time I was so angry about it for Terrell May because I think he's a great player, but he's the type of player who doesn't really fit into their system. They probably want someone to buy in. And
I'll tell you a funny anecdote. I've heard that they didn't like, so, and I mean, you'd know this because you're around players all the time. The bag things. Is it the man bag or the bum bag?
Yeah, the man bag.
The man bag, like sort of satchel thing that goes across. So I'm pretty sure Terrell May carries that everywhere.
Yeah, he's
right?
worn it
if he was on this
press
podcast,
conference before.
He wore it on Matty John's show.
Yeah.
One
John's show.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure if he was here now or if he's walking around out on Ural Street, right, he's got the bag on. So that's how he rolls. It's not a criticism. But I think some people at the club are like, what's the go with this bag? And they asked him, and he obviously gave them the reasoning. But I think there was just something that didn't sit well.
I think as well.
Not saying it was only the bag, but the bag was a factor.
Yes. I say this with the greatest respect because I love Terrell May as a player, but I wonder if the Roosters saw him as a liability that was waiting to blow up. And I mean that I feel like the Roosters are very, they're media trained. They very much talk the same language as Trent Robinson. They all swim the same direction. And Terrell May is a little bit of a loose cannon, right? But that's what makes him so fascinating as a human and as a player. He plays like that as well. But he has his podcast, and I just think the way that the Roosters run as a club, maybe weighed up the pros and cons. Fantastic player, punches out big minutes, super fit, big meters, etc. But could he be a bit of a loose cannon?
Yeah.
And it could end up being a bigger mess to clean up.
Yep.
I wonder if that's...
No, definitely. I think there's a lot of merit in that. I think he was also was Terrell a vloger? I think
he was
liked the vlog, didn't he?
He has a podcast.
Somebody else brought that to my
Penrith.
attention after I brought up that I didn't know what vlogging was. They said, mate, you should know Terrell, mate. He used to vlog to computer games.
Oh,
He still does that. Yeah.
Okay.
He live streams computer games while he's playing.
What computer games?
Call of Duty.
Okay.
So it's like shooting game.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I actually think the Roosters might have foresawn that he was in good form and he probably demanded an upgrade. So at that point in time, the Roosters forwards, they're not noted offloaders. He's a willing offloader. I thought that decision, in like looking back now, was a decent one on their part. And West Tigers got a great player who fits perfectly into their system.
I think it's worked out well for both clubs.
Yeah.
On that point, on that front, Brandon. I think the Tigers are certainly very happy with Terrell. I think that style of environment suits him
Totally.
better,
For sure.
where he can just be himself. Whereas at the Chooks, they do like to, you got to have a neat and tidy, or you're meant to have a neat and tidy salad and
Private schools.
in terms of your haircut.
Private schools.
Yeah,
type of
well, they're
stuff.
big on recruiting blokes out of Scott's or wherever the latest joint is that they're fishing out of. So let's talk about Robbo, because Trent Robinson as a coach has always prided himself on, there's a few coaches like this. Robbo's one, Fitzy's one, Craig Bellamy's certainly one, Madge, Ivan at Penrith, and he's got the runs on the board. They see themselves as like ministers for defence. Your defence, even though it doesn't always get talked up as much as the flashy plays that Nathan Cleary's setting up for Tommy Jenkins or what Brian Toto can do with a double grubber kick, they love the defensive side of the game. It's 50% of the game. And when Robbo first went to the Chooks 2013, well, he built the Great Wall of Bondi. And it was their defence that was hugely influential in the Roosters winning that title. They hadn't won a premiership since 2002 under Ricky Stewart then. It was Robbo's first year in the job, and they win it. But then off the back of that, he's always been defensive-minded. But now, this year, they leak 100 points in the opening 3 games. And it's led to questions being asked about Robbo. I'll come to you on this, Brandon, because I feel like you've probably done your homework in this space in terms of what's been said around social media and other Roosters supporter areas. What's the read on Robbo? Is everybody still all in on Robbo in terms of the red, white and blue faithful, or what's their take?
I don't think so. I think it's just the position he's in, and with such a close relationship with Nick Politis, like what are you going to choose? Are you going to be on Politis' side or are you going to be on the other side? Because if you choose Robbo, unless Politis is willing to axe him, then it's not going to happen. I think in terms of their defence, it's been poor this year. And I think they've been poor for a while. They've been underwhelming. Without Cooper Cronk landing in their lap, they probably haven't won a premiership since 2013. So for a long time, they've been underwhelming. I think Robbo's been saved by that. But at the same time, they all the players
Mate,
there.
I'm going to get you a fly swat. That thing's driving me mad. I can only imagine. He's doing a little bit of voodoo
He's
magic
like,
on it.
Stop.
Pull this kid up.
All the players love playing under Robbo. So I think the fact that there's superstars willing to take smaller contracts to be there, I think that's also a telling story. But at the same time, the Roosters are a proud club. At what point do they draw the line and think that not winning premierships is where we're at? Because
I reckon Robbo's got a bit of heat on him, Darcie. And I say that based on, look, everyone knows how much respect Nick Politis has for Trent Robinson. He's gone on the record numerous times saying he'll be like our Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. As long as I'm here, Robbo is here. But the Roosters love to win. I was listening to Luke Keary over the weekend on Triple M, and he pointed out how as soon as you walk into the Roosters headquarters, there's a sign on the wall that says, "We play for premierships." And there's this cool mural it's got like Arthur Beetson, Freddie Fittler, Rico, Minnie, and they're all holding trophies, right? Like the theme is they play
They're
to
winners.
win. They are every day of the week. And I know the Roosters board and the Roosters power brokers, and there are some power brokers at the Chooks who aren't on the board. They are constantly workshopping how they can deliver Robbo the best possible roster to be premiership ready and try and win a comp. Well, I reckon they're going pretty close. Like, if you look at that roster that he's got on paper this year, right?
It's
Cherry Evans comes in at halfback. Tedesco could still be the Australian and New South Wales fullback every day of the week.
Yep.
Reece Robinson's the New South Wales Origin starting hooker.
Sam Walker's a dead set superstar.
Game breaker, X factor. You got Marky Mark, who is similar. Tupou's furniture at the joint, but is one of the best aerial wingers in the game.
Lindsay Collins, representative forward.
Bobby Toyer,
Angus
Queensland
Crichton.
Origin debutant last year, complete weapon. Crichton, like you go, that's a red hot team, and there's a reason why a lot of experts predicted the Chooks to either win the comp or be in the top 4 this year. That's why I say that there is pressure on Robbo, and not just the pressure that he's putting on himself. I know for a fact that there would be board members who would have had the conversation over the past couple of seasons, because they haven't won a title since 2019. We're now in 2026. That's a long time by the Roosters' standards. 7 years is a long time. There would be board members that would have had the conversation about, is Robbo becoming a little bit too much Brian Smith-esque with signatures like Chad Townsend and players of that ilk. We've pointed out their recruitment mistakes. So what the Roosters power brokers have done, though, is they have given him the best possible side. I see this side as being capable of competing for the premiership. Is that how you see it, Darcie?
100% on paper.
Yeah, on paper. Absolutely.
On the field, well, questions are being asked, but on paper, 1,000%. For me, like James Tedesco is still top 5 players in the competition. Daly Cherry Evans, the most experienced player in the competition. Sam Walker's an out-and-out superstar. Angus, like we just listed them all. 1,000% on paper, they could go all the way. In fact, a lot of people in my circles that were predicting premierships and whatnot, they all predicted Panthers-Roosters grand final.
Yes.
And when they said that, I thought, oof, yeah, like that's
doesn't surprise me.
That's very possible. But my thing is if they were to move on Trent Robinson, who is there to bring in? Like
I know who'll be on top of, and it's a very unique set of circumstances. It's very rugby league. You know who they'll go for?
Wayne?
No, they want Fitzy. No, they'll never go for Wayne.
Yeah,
Wayne's got life.
Is this good?
Wayne's got Wayne over Nick's dead body. Or Nick would even come out of beyond the grave if anyone ever entertained Wayne.
Because I was actually going to say how much of these last, how long, when did Fitzy leave? 2023?
This is his 4th season at Cronulla.
How much of Robbo's success had a lot to do with Fitzy as well,
definitely.
particularly defensively?
Robbo deserves all the plaudits and all the respect and all the accolades.
And him and Fitzy and Matt King were long-time assistants to Robbo too. So the 3 of them would have been working autonomously. Like it would have just worked.
Yep.
And since kind of Fitzy's left, there's been chopping and changing in terms of the assistant ranks.
I think Fitzy was hugely influential. Robbo deserves all the credit that he gets. He was the head coach of those teams. He's the boss cocky in terms of how the decisions are made and the side's results every weekend. He's the one who's got to front the cameras. But Fitzy was huge.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about it. I think there'd be an element of the club that would love to make that happen, but Fitzy's under contract at Cronulla. Him and Robbo are still best mates.
Yeah.
They talk weekly, multiple times
Fitzy's
weekly.
not a dude that would break a contract to.
Or a dude who would
do that to Robbo.
Would be seen to do that sort of a Judas act to a mate. I'm going to get this fly.
Is that enough of us talking about him?
I reckon it lines up perfectly because Fitzy's only signed till 2027. And pretty much the Sharks will be at that Apex this year and next year. So if it doesn't work out at the Sharks and it doesn't work out at the Roosters, it lines up perfectly.
Coaching swap.
There you go. I'll tell you what, we're solving all of rugby league's problems here.
Do you remember the TV
Rugby
show
League Insider?
Wife Swap?
Oh my God. Yes.
Oh, no, but it sounds good. Hang on, what's going on there?
So they would have families that were completely different ends of the spectrum. So someone that lives on a family that lives on the farm, has no running water vibes, and then a family that lives, bloody Point Piper. And they would get the wives and they would swap completely. And it would be hell at first, but then the families would end up learning about different parts of life. Imagine if we had coach swap.
Oh, that would be so good.
How fun would that be?
It's different gravy, but I like
Just
it.
for
I was
like a
wondering where
month.
you were going.
Just like a month.
I was wondering where you were going. Wife swap. How old is that show?
Old.
It's a
Is
while
it?
away.
Yeah.
A while
And,
back.
and how did Malcolm Turnbull's wife from Point Piper, how did she go in
You know
Cootamundra?
what? They end up getting humbled and they
Yeah.
go back to their mansions with, do we need 6 cars? No, we don't.
Fair dinkum, they got 6 cars.
No,
Yeah, okay.
Turn
Turn
but
of phrase.
usually,
Yeah.
usually you would have the wife that's got everything in this world, a nanny and whatever, and they'd go and live on the farm and they'd learn about.
It was kind of
the
like
butler picks up the dry cleaning every day.
They
It
go
was-
back and we
yeah.
don't need that.
kind of like the show The Nanny. Like they're coaching the husbands instead of the kids, whereas the nanny's coaching the kids.
Is that the nanny with Fran Drescher? Is that
No,
what you're
no,
talking
it's a
about?
different. It's
Oh,
a different one.
Yeah,
Sorry,
she
I'm
was,
showing my age now
No,
as a
I watched
dinosaur.
that too. That was
Yeah.
a great hit. Yeah, great show.
Remember NRL Rookie?
Yes.
Oh, that was my favourite show.
Yes.
Lou Goodwin, shout out. He was the winner.
What happened on that NRL rookie?
They got an NRL contract at the end of it, so they pretty much went through weeks of training and did all these
Oh,
games
that's right.
and
Was
stuff.
that was Freddie's idea, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Was that
and-
one of Freddie's brainchilds?
Yeah, the winner got drafted to the Canberra Raiders, and then
Yes.
he's been riddled with injuries ever since. He was looked like a talent.
What's
I think.
his name?
Sorry, Lou Goodwin.
Lou Goodwin.
Lou Goodwin was
Lou
his
Goodwin.
name.
Oh, that's right.
Lou
Goodwin.
Goodwin.
I was like-
There was a
He's
couple of
the
other
90s.
guys in there that did really well.
Yeah.
Like there
There
was
was
a guy
a
named
Martin, like a Jordan Martin. Or something.
Jordan Martin.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he was
Yeah.
Canberra as well. Yeah.
There you go. Fun fact on Rugby
back.
League Insider for the day.
Bring it back.
Wife swap. Yeah, good. I'm going to go and have to have a look at that when
Highly
I get home
recommend.
later.
No, Maths is still on.
Yeah.
Maths is still going.
Yeah.
You're a Maths fan, are you?
No.
Big
What's
fan.
happening?
No,
fan.
don't. Can't say it. Yeah,
Your
no.
dad messaged me on Instagram a link to your rap hits.
Oh, nice.
That just reminded me.
Oh, right.
Oh, wow.
And it was very good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Actually,
he
I'll-
sent me your biggest hit. It was very good.
Oh.
We might have to play a little bit
I think
on
we
one
should
episode
drop it,
later in the
yeah.
year.
Not today.
Maybe
We've
it could be
got
our intro song and outro song.
I like that. I like that a lot. Righto, we've covered a lot of territory on reality TV. How about we get back to some rugby league?
Yeah.
Manly, actually, before we get off the Chooks, if they don't make the finals,
Oh.
what happens?
Yeah, there needs 1,000% there needs to be some tough conversations if that team doesn't make the finals.
prelim is probably more of a like they need to make a prelim, right? They've recruited
this
Daly Cherry
roster,
Evans
yeah.
and Hugo Savala. His growth has been stunted because of it.
Yep.
I think like prelim at worst, right?
Yeah.
Phew.
I'm thinking back to when Cooper Cronk first went to the Roosters, right? And look, he and Cherry Evans are vastly different players, and they're also at very different stages of their career. Cronk was still at the total peak of his powers. He was 32. Cherry's 38. And defensively, I can see opposition sides are really starting to pick him apart. I'm not saying that it won't work, but I do remember when Cooper first went to the Chooks, it took some time.
Yeah, it did.
They got smoked on Anzac Day one year by the Dragons, and there was all sorts of noise. Was the Cronk signing going to work? Was it a failure? Was it a flop? Well, ultimately, they come back and won the title that year, so it did fly. So we're going to give them a little bit more time, the Chooks. We'll see if they can dig their way out. Speaking of digging their way out, Manly, 0-2, and then they've had a bye, staring down the barrel of 0-3. A lot of focus on Jakey Turbo. I feel for Jake here.
Me
Darcie,
too.
I love Jake. He's one of
Yeah.
my favourite players of all time. We discussed yesterday how a lot of people are pointing out all these stats. Oh, Jake, he hasn't had a run, he hasn't made a line break. Okay, that's fine. But if you actually watch Jake's game with a fine-tooth comb and with the magnifying glass, he's been a link middle forward in the middle of the field for the majority of his career. As a younger player, part of the brilliance of Jake was sometimes he'd run, sometimes he'd pass. These days, a lot of the times, he's just feeding the ball to Fogarty or Brooks on the other side. But defensively, he still does that much in terms of all the little 1% areas of the game in the hardest area of the field to defend that I still think is invaluable to the Sea Eagles.
100%. And like he's got footy smarts too. And he
Absolutely.
can read the game, and he's got leadership. He's a passionate leader. Generally, like, pretty good line speed as well. He has energy, right?
Yes.
He's not going to make you 150 metres, but I don't think that's what's expected of him.
Yep.
And that's probably, if they feel like they're lacking in metres, or people think they're lacking in metres, that's maybe something they need to look at with other forwards and recruit a kind of a meter reader in that sense. But Jake Jabojevic is not that man. He is a man that leads with his actions on and off the field. And I think if you asked every single player to pick their team, he'd still be one of their first teammates that they're picking, because you talk about aura and presence, and his presence on the field, I think they'd miss it deeply if he wasn't there.
Agree. I think it's a complete G-up, Brandon, that they're trying to point fingers at Jake. Whether it's coming out of Manly or not, I'm not sure. But Manly's recruitment in terms of middle forwards has been average. Like, they went and signed Siwa Tokiaho. The Dogs signed him and then ended up tearing up the contract because after they did a medical, they discovered that he had issues, right? Or he still had some concerns in terms of his body. Paseka was injured for the majority of last year. That hurt him, right? But they've made mistakes in the recruitment space. I saw a column in the paper last week saying how the roster was bent out of shape, and that was part of the reason why Anthony Seibold needs more time. Well, he's going into his fourth season. He's had sole control of the joint for now almost 4 years. So if he hasn't been able to get that right, well, that's on him. That's not the fault of anybody else. Jake's still a great player. I think Jake will probably hang the boots up at the end of this season.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's certainly the mail that I'm getting at the moment. I just know how much he loves and cares about the Manly club. But I'll ask you, Brandon, in terms of Manly's recruitment in that middle forward space, what do you make of it?
Well, they've lost more players than they've been able to get, right? Like, Sipley was really good last year.
I rated him.
Yeah, I liked him a lot.
Don't know why they let him walk.
Is he gone?
Yeah, he's
over
gone.
in the
He's
Super League.
All right.
Yeah, Sipley's gone. They've also let go of Matt Lodge to some extent, but you can't be losing forwards when you've got none of them.
They let Jazz Tavanga go too.
Jazz
He was
Tavanga?
quite versatile.
He was a perfect 13 for them. Like, Jake shouldn't have been playing 13. He should be playing less minutes or starting up the front. They've signed Kobe Hetherington, who
I rate that though.
He's a good signing, but he should have gone straight into 13, move Jake to the front, or move Jake off the bench. I think when you're making signings like these plays, no wonder no one wants to go there, because they look at the optics of the club and nobody is actually playing their best footy in the forwards. So he's had 76 games at Manly. Seibold, a 49% win rate, so 37 out of 37 with 2 draws. If you can't recruit and you haven't recruited in 3 years, then the writing is on the wall that you're probably not going to recruit in the future either. So, concerns for Manly there.
Well, they have signed some players. So they signed Luke Brooks a couple of seasons ago from the West Tigers.
Thought that was a good signing too at the time.
Looked good initially. It looked good initially. I'm not sure now that Cherry's gone. He and Jamal haven't quite found their mojo yet. I'm not saying they won't. And I'm reluctant to – I don't want this to look like a Brooksy bash up, because he copped enough of that at the West Tigers. But where I feel a bit for Brooksy is – and this is where Anthony Seibold is also going to have to somehow navigate this road. He's managed by Isaac Moses, so's Luke Brooks, so's Matt Lodge, so's a variety of other players that Manly have had on their books. We went through it a couple of years ago. I think they had about 21 or something like that out of Isaac's stable on the books when Seibold initially got into the gig. So I think questions are going to be asked. Look, this is a massive game for Manly. If Manly go 0-3, I think the drums really start to beat. The heat gets turned up. And Seibold's going to have to front the cameras and face some really grilling questions, because if they show up with the same attitude that they showed up with at Brookvale Oval in their last outing, it's going to be licorice all sorts.
That'll also be 3 games from home that they've dropped as well, which is massive. Their next home game is until round 8 versus Para. Then they play round 10 versus the Broncos at home. and they haven't got much after that either. So
their home games are really front loaded.
yeah.
What's doing there? How's that?
Yeah.
How's the Canadian Powerball system that does the draw work that out?
Yeah, I don't know.
good question.
They've actually pretty much got every second week at home, which is surprising.
Geez, this fly's going Burko, isn't it? It's
Did I get it?
No, you weren't close, though. It was an honest attempt. Yeah, I've got to bring a SWAT next time. I might get myself in the melon with it. Might knock a bit of sense into it. Rightio. Well, once again, we have solved rugby league's problems, all the twists and turns within the greatest game of all in about an hour.
Yeah.
And we'll be back again tomorrow to talk the paint off the walls, lick it back on, talk the leg off the pot-bellied stove, gnaw that back on, because it always happens in the greatest game of all. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you again on Rugby League Insider tomorrow.